All right, Lala, should we just go ahead and just start then?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
let's get to it.
All right. Well, once again, I want to just thank you for joining me today. I know that it is a very last minute that um something happened and uh kind of just it just sprung up, and I'm glad that you are able to be here and talk about this with me. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. I mean, thank you for having me. It's a very touchy topic for me, and so it really hit homes for me. So I'm glad that you were able to reach out to me. Definitely want to be a voice.
I'll just repeat it again, but just hearing your reaction and reading on the reactions of other people, um, being being a man in the Hmong community, we're looked we're looked as maybe, I guess, more superior than a woman would be, which is something in the Hmong culture that I don't like, and I believe that we should all be equal. So when something like this does happen, it hits a different spot for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, I
yeah.
totally agree. Like the men is always put on a pedestal. Us women, we're always the last to voice anything, and if we do voice, like it doesn't get heard. It's like we almost aren't even relevant, and it's
Hmm.
sad. And we, as the community, like we need to put a stop to that because we
Yeah.
are of that now. We live in America. Like we need to stop that. Like our it's such a backward culture, and as much as I love my culture and as much as I am proud to be Hmong, like I that's some of the things that I don't like. I don't
Hmm.
like how backward our culture is.
Yeah.
And I have a daughter and I don't ever want her to go through this. And
Yeah.
we as the younger generation, it's up to us to change that cycle and so that it doesn't get passed on to our children.
Hmm. Yeah, and if women are going to be the front runners on this, um, the men, we have to be the backbone. We have to be there to support the women, whether they're Hmong or whatever race they are. And but like, let's not forget that there are men out there who are also in the domestic violence situations as well.
For sure.
They might not come out as easily as the women do, especially in the Hmong culture. I think that because men are seen as more of a dominant, they might feel like that they are weaker for admitting such a thing.
Yeah.
But it actually takes a lot of strength to come out and ask for help.
Yeah.
And we could see that news video that could be a cry for help, um and hopefully she gets the help that she needs. And I think that spreading awareness in today's world, social media can really do that.
Yes. And I totally agree. It was a cry for help because this is probably her last resort. That's why she went live. Why else would
Hmm.
she go live? She probably went to the family first
Hmm.
and they did nothing. And
Yeah.
so that's why she went live and asked for her fans to judge the situation because at this point it's like there's no more shame. Like I can't do this on my own. I need help. And that is definitely a cry for help. And as a mom sister, like I see that cry and I can relate and I am here for her and I want her to know that she's not alone in this.
Hmm.
We are fighting this together and
Hmm.
this needs to be brought to everyone's attention and it needs to be stopped and we need to tell our brothers and our cousins and our uncles and the men in our lives that this is not okay. It's not okay to put your hands on your wives, your girlfriends. It's not
Hmm.
okay because
Yeah.
there's so many times where it just everybody just turns a blind eye to it
Hmm.
all. And the family, like they just keep telling you that, hey, he's gonna change and like everything will be okay. But it's not.
I have a friend who she was told to ocean day and just ooh, and just be patient along the whole thing. And she was almost killed because of that, because of her being told to be patient. And
Exactly.
I'm very thankful that she was able to get out of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But being patient, it only gets you so much, and it only goes so far. And
Exactly.
there are certain things that you should be patient for, but I believe that physical, or like domestic violence, kind of an abuse, is that something that you should just be patient for.
Patient. I think it's being misused in this form, in this context.
Hmm.
It's being misused so many times in our culture because patient. This shouldn't be patient. This shouldn't
Hmm.
be like you should not tell your daughter or your sister, to be patient when it comes to violence. Agreed that there's no patience in this because what do that lead you to? The bruises on your body, like what proof do you need? So do you want
Hmm.
her to be patient so that she can have more bruises? Do you want her to be patient so that she can one day die? Like,
Hmm.
come on now. Like we need to stand together and help our sisters or our brothers get out of that situation and not judge them for it. I've heard this too many times where people said, "Oh, she probably deserved it. She probably did
Hmm.
something. She probably provoked him." What do you do? There's no reason in the world to justify that. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter what she did. It doesn't matter if she said something, wrong. No man should ever put their hand on a woman. None. Or vice versa. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that is something that we need to bring to light here.
You don't need to know both sides of the story. Both sides of the story in a situation like this. You don't have to know. If you saw somebody just like hanging on to their life on the side of the bridge, uh, and if you want to help them, do you first ask like how you got here and the whole situation on why they're there in the first place, or do you help
Mhm.
them right away? And
Right.
this is one of those situations where, hey, I'm fighting for my life here, and I don't need you to ask me questions. I just need your help.
Hmm.
So we don't have to, us on the outside, we don't need to know both sides of the story before you help.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, and a lot of times they always say that, oh yeah, it's because she did something first, that's why she deserves what's coming for her. And I
Hmm.
feel like that's not fair, like that's not fair and we should stop that. Like we should stop
Hmm.
because violence shouldn't be taken lightly, no
Hmm.
matter what it is, no matter what contents it is, no matter what she did, no matter what he did. It should feel like a lot of times people do, and especially in our culture, like it's normal, it's okay to hit her, it's okay because if you do ask for help, all they're going to ask you is, hey, what did you do to provoke him? What did you do? What did you say? Did you do something?
Hmm.
And why does it always come to that? Like, why do that have to be a question? It shouldn't matter. There should be no reason or no justification for it at all.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to bring up is before the violence, there's the emotional abuse first, and I'm
Hmm.
sure it starts with that
Yeah.
because it always starts from that, and then it leads to physical abuse.
Hmm.
And I feel like a lot of times people dismiss that too, especially in our culture. Oh, he was just
Hmm.
kidding, or like whatever he said. Oh, he didn't mean it.
Hmm.
The threats. Oh, like
Yeah.
if you do this, I'm gonna kill you or whatever. And then he started putting his hand on you, and then you fearing for your life, and now you're
Hmm.
afraid because he has threatened you. But then you can't go to anyone for help because if you do,
Hmm.
they're just gonna say it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. He's just kidding. And you're like, "
Yeah. You could talk to the families, but at the end of the day, they'll send you home. And
exactly.
when you go home, that's like, that talk may anger the man. So on the drive
Exactly.
home, it might be a quiet drive home, but once he gets home behind closed doors, no one really knows what happens.
Yeah, and nobody does. Nobody knows
Hmm.
what happened. And sometimes that's why a lot of women do hide it. That's why they don't
Hmm.
say anything because it becomes something so scary that they have to pretend that it's not happening. And then they become just numb to it all, to the
Hmm.
abuse. And now they start hiding it. They start hiding their bruises and they're ashamed of it.
Hmm.
But I say, don't be ashamed of it. This is your way out.
Yeah.
No men deserve to be with you if he's going to treat you like that. No
Hmm.
men deserve to put their hands on you, you know. That's not a
Yeah.
life that you want to live, because guess what? He's not going to change. It's not going to happen.
Unfortunately, the outside world, we don't see it until it gets to the point where, you're crying for help, or it gets physical.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can't see all the emotional stress and all the emotional pain that somebody is going through, but
Yeah.
and by the time we do know, it's eating her
Yeah.
from the
And,
inside
and
out.
and that's why in the video, like, you can see her. She was crying for help.
Hmm.
She was asking for help. She was asking her fan to see the door and
Hmm.
to kind of compare her fist to the door, like, hey, can I do this? Look at
Hmm.
my fist. Look how small my fist is. You think I can do this? Because they're
Hmm.
saying I did this. And how
Yeah.
is that even possible? Like, her husband came home drunk. He came home drunk, and she even said that, like, when he comes home drunk, he gets very abusive. And that's
Hmm.
the reason why I went to my room and I locked my door, because I didn't
Hmm.
want him near me, because he will abuse me. And when she said that, like, I felt like those uncles that were there, they kind of just said, kind of given excuses.
Hmm.
Well, where do you expect him to sleep at? The door was locked. He's your
Hmm.
husband. I mean, if you can say that to a person that was scared for her life, then you
Yeah.
are not acknowledging the fact that she was asking you for help, and you're just like, oh yeah, it's okay, because your husband, well, we already know how he is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of telling you, why are you even calling us over? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
late. Why are you calling us over? And
Yeah.
then got the nerve to get offended when she goes on Facebook Live,
Hmm. Yeah.
when that's her only hope, her only chance out.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just the whole domestic violence thing. I'm I am fortunate that I haven't had anybody in my family or anybody that I know like really close personally who has gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that I should have to, and I am blessed that I haven't. But I shouldn't have to personally go through it to have a heart to help others. To have a
Right.
heart to speak out on it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I wanted to start off my whole podcast with just with this. It's still fresh in everyone's minds and everyone's eyes, and whether the person is Hmong or not, it happened. And
Mm-hmm.
because she is Hmong, let's come together as a community, whether we have our differences in beliefs in culture, in religion. We are all still, we're all human. And I don't think that there is a religion out there that should or that does condone violence like this.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, this should unify us. It took this to happen for all these domestic violence talks to happen. But then, but then I'm glad that these talks are happening. And I'm glad that it takes somebody like you who makes a video and posts it out there and puts your 2 cents about it. And I'm glad that a lot of people are speaking out on it, and some are sharing their own stories. And it's very brave of them to do so, because I know that it's such a sad and sensitive subject that not everybody wants to tell their story, and they haven't, even though they've moved on from it, they haven't fully healed from it.
Right. There's still stories that I hold inside of me that when I do talk about it, it hurts to the core, because I still get very emotional about it, because I can't believe I went through it. When I do talk about it, I do get really emotional, and I try not to talk about it, but I feel like sometimes, like, people need to hear it, because they need to
Hmm.
know that it's okay to leave a toxic relationship. It's okay to move on.
Yeah.
Even if people are going to talk, let them talk, because at the end of the day, they're not the one that's living in your shoes. They don't know what you're going through. They only see from the outside, and they think it's rainbows and butterflies, but it's not. And
Hmm.
you're the only one that's hurting inside, and you have to do what's best for yourself. And that's getting yourself out of that toxic relationship, because
Hmm.
you never know what's going to happen. you
Yeah,
know
and like kind of like what you said earlier about them being numb to the in the situation. I think that to the abuser, they can and they learn to manipulate the person who is being abused, and
Sure.
they can say sorry, hey, I'll never do it again, or they'll say whatever they have to, because they kind of just play psychological games with that person, because that person is in such a weak state that the words "I love you" and that "I'll never do it again," they will they will hit a different note. Hmm.
Definitely. And that actually, when I was in my relationship, I used to watch what I would say or watch what I would do when he was in the stage that he would get. I would be so afraid that I would have to watch the words that I would say to him, because any word can trigger him or result in a fight
Hmm.
or backlash or a backhand or a smack or whatever. And so
Hmm.
then you become so good at it, become so good at knowing to say the right things and lying and all that, because you're afraid. And that's not a life to live, because now you're living in fear. And it's
Hmm.
like, when is the next time? Like, when, okay, like I need to watch what I say because he's gonna hit me. So I need to not say this word. And it's like, it becomes a lie. Like your life becomes a lie because you're not happy. And then depression kicks in.
Hmm.
And then that leads to being like suicidal. And I know a lot of women can relate to that, because
Hmm.
that do happen and that thought do come across. And I know that I'm not the only one that's been through it. I know there's a lot of
Hmm.
women that's been through it, but they're afraid to talk about it because they don't want to relive or rehash
Yeah.
this past. Like, I just want to say that I'm just glad that this video actually went viral and that people are bringing awareness to this. And it's because she is somebody that's popular in the Hmong
Hmm.
community, and that's why people are bringing this to light, and I'm glad that, because I feel like if it was anybody else, this wouldn't have happened, and that's sad. And we need to actually put a stop to that and make sure that our sisters, our Hmong sisters, know that it's not just because it's somebody that's a celebrity or that's well known in the Hmong community. We are here to help anybody that's going through this, whether
Hmm.
they are a girl or a guy.
So I know that some of the people who are watching, or that they may be watching later, they may be looking for an out. And it sounds like, you were in that situation before. Do you mind kind of going through with like how you were able to pull yourself out of it? And
It's really hard. I have 3 kids with this man. I was afraid. I was scared. It was just so much background noise because I was afraid that people were going to talk about me, and I was afraid that I was going to have a bad name and that my parents was going to have a bad name. Everything. And it makes it really difficult for you to make the right decision for yourself, because you're thinking about everybody else, thinking about my kids. I was thinking about him, like, what is he gonna do when I leave? Because I love this man. And then I was thinking about the family, my family, his family, thinking into the future of what's gonna happen. And I was afraid because I wasn't gonna leave my 3 kids with him. I want to be able to take care of my kids. I want to get away and be stable and control my life and not have him keep controlling my life. So just a little bit about my story. I was married young. I was married at the age of 14. I had my first child at the age of 16, and I left him by the age of 24. And when I left him, it was really hard because I didn't know what to do. And I remember I was afraid that my kids were going to hate me and that they were going to be biased because I wasn't with their dad anymore. And when I came back home to my mom's house and I heard her telling me that it's okay to leave and it's okay to move back in with her, like, I felt relieved. And I had all this pressure on my shoulder. Like, I felt like the world was on my shoulder and that it was just me not knowing that my mom had my back the whole time, but because she is a Hmong woman, she
Mhm.
couldn't show that she had my back, because she didn't want to be that, like, the mom that keeps like telling their daughter what to do or whatever,
Mhm.
like, she didn't want to be known as that, and she didn't want
Okay.
to be the reason why I left, and she wanted me to make my own decision.
Mhm.
And so when I did laugh, I've actually accomplished so much. And I felt like he was always holding me back because I felt like he had control over my life. and there was things that I couldn't do. And when I did like broke free of that, like I was really happy. Like I was able to, you know, move out of my parents' house within a year, and I made it. Looking back, I wished I would have left sooner,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt like everything that I've been through made me the person that I am. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any regrets for that because I love my three kids so much. And without that, like, I wouldn't have them. But it's just the fact that, like, the past was just so, it was such a dark place in my life that I wouldn't wish anybody to go through this. And I
Mm-hmm.
hope and I wish and pray that no other Hmong sisters or any other girls will go through this. And if they do go through this, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can break away. You will be okay once you break away from this toxic relationship that you're in. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to stay.
Well, like I know that must have been hard for you because it is like a very sensitive subject. So thank you for telling your story, and
Mm-hmm.
thank you for actually going through with your the path that you did. Thank you for leaving because your kids deserve to have a father figure to teach them how a man should be.
Right.
If if your ex was the man figure that he was to them, um, that could have been their minimum, and that could have been something that they saw as okay. And you
Yeah.
never know that somebody else um, be, could be getting hurt out there, and because that's just what they knew, that could have been normal to them. So
Exactly.
for you, getting out of that, it kind of opens like a brand new door to your children as well. So I applaud you for doing that, and and even harder, talking about it. Yeah, talking
Yeah.
about it is the hard part.
It is. It's really hard, and I know a lot of women doesn't want to talk about it because they don't want to share that dark past that they have. But I feel like we need to be better, and we need to do share our stories, and that so that other women can feel like they can break away too, you know,
Hmm.
and that they're not alone because a lot of times they do feel like they're alone, and I know because I felt like I was alone. I felt like nobody understood me. I feel like nobody knew my story. Nobody knew what I was going through, and at the end of the day, I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't share my story with anybody because I was afraid. I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of staying in a relationship that he does that to me, like that he abused me physically and emotionally, and verbally. And I didn't want to be called stupid. I didn't want to be called that stupid girl that stays with her husband, even though he treats her like that.
Hmm.
So then a lot of times, girls, what do? We hide it because we don't want to be known for that. I think that's why I'm so hard on my boys, and there's no gender role in my house. You know, like
Hmm.
they do the dishes, they sweep the
Hmm.
floors just like my daughter.
Hmm.
And I want them to know that that doesn't mean that you are on a pedestal, that you are higher than your sister.
Hmm.
Everybody is equal. In our Hmong community, that's what we were taught,
Hmm.
that the men are always on this pedestal and that we have to treat them with the most up respect. But what about us? What about us women?
Hmm.
Why don't we get that in return?
It's great that you are teaching your sons to do that. That's what kind of like what my parents did for us as well. And the reason why I say that for you is because if your sons can treat your daughter like the queen that she is, when she goes and finds somebody to marry, she will have a bare minimum that, hey, if you can't even treat me as good as my brothers do, then why do I need to be with you for? So if the man that she is to marry can't treat her better than what her brothers do, and her brothers treat her really, really good, then
Mm-hmm.
that means that there's more likely, more chances that she will be treated good. So, parents out there, please, teach your sons to be, the person that can help the women that are growing up in this world.
Yeah, I mean, we just need to teach them to be better than our uncles and, our brothers, and, and just tell them that this is not okay. I feel like we need to keep telling our brothers and our uncles to not do that,
Mm-hmm.
and when we do see it, we need to bring it up and acknowledge it and face it instead of hiding it and being ashamed of it. Because saying that, oh, he's my brother, it's okay, or he's my uncle, it's okay if he does it, like, I don't want anything to do with it. Like, no, it's not okay. We need to stand up for the women that are being abused. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the only way that we can do that is if we stand together and stick together as a community and stand up for each other, especially when the person can't stand up for themselves. We need to
Mm-hmm.
be that voice for that person.
There's a phrase that you called the cover up,
Yes,
and that's sort of like the second half of the whole domestic violence part,
exactly.
and let's go ahead and talk about that. I
Yeah.
I believe the uncle, or I'm not sure who he was, but he came out with the video that I forwarded over to you, and when I listened to it, it just kind of just poured fuel to this fire that I the OGs, the elders, they just, I don't know, they just see it as saving face. Everybody
Right.
wants to save face at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
they will do anything and say whatever that they want to.
Right. Yeah, so when you sent me that video, I watched it, and I was very angry with that uncle or the friend or whoever he was, because he ended up saying that, oh, everything's okay, they're back together, it's not a
Hmm.
big deal, you know. How can you just bypass that? Like, how can you discredit this video that we saw?
Hmm.
You just dehumanize her, saying that, oh, she got hit, but it's okay, you know they're fine,
Hmm.
and like, what is that? It's like you're condoning this,
Hmm.
that you're saying that he's okay to hit her, you know and like you said, it's just the whole saving face, and I feel like this is what a lot of families do. They cover it up for their brothers and their uncles, because
Hmm.
they want to save face, and they don't want it to be out. And I'm so glad that she went live and that the whole world saw this and that it went viral. I'm so glad that she got evidence and people saw it firsthand of
Hmm.
how it is, because this does happen. It happens
Yeah.
all the time. And the family members, they would just kind of cover it up. They would say,
Hmm.
oh, it's fine, they're fine. They're back together now. It's
Hmm.
okay. And they patch up her bruises, give her a pat on the back, and say, okay, go live your life,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, and
And she
like,
can't get out.
yeah.
And going back to her video,
Hmm.
there was one part that the uncle said, we gave you a good life, you know, and that really got me so heated, because I know she came from, was it Thailand or something?
I
Like,
believe
he
so.
married her from Thailand, and I think that's what he was relating it to, because they married
Hmm.
her and she's in America now, and that's why she has a good life. Like,
Hmm.
who is he to say that her life is good now? He
Hmm.
does not live in her shoes. What if her life was better back in Thailand?
Hmm.
I mean, she was a celebrity there. She
Yeah.
was making money there. Like, he doesn't know her story to judge her or to say that. And that's
Hmm.
one thing that I hate the most, is people putting their 2 cents in when they don't even know the story.
And like he did try to justify a lot of things by saying that, hey, she, what, well, like the kids cracked the eggs, maybe, or
Yeah. Yeah.
that she is the person who made the holes in the walls, and
Right.
like you just kind of know that, like, I think he said that, like, she used a stick to make a hole in the walls, or and like, oh, and like opened the door, but like if you watch the video, that door has been punched, like not by a stick, you know, and like
Yes,
what kind of stick is this, you know? And
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the video, you can clearly see that he was lying and that
Hmm.
everything he said was just to save their face and just to cover it up, you
Hmm.
know, and that, you know, everything that she said was a made up. Oh, fake news, right? That's something that
Yeah,
can be
yeah.
fake news. How is this fake news? And like she went live asking for help for her fans to chime in and judge the situation that she was in. How is this fake news, you know?
Hmm.
And I feel like people do this all the time to cover up their loved ones because they're afraid that the outsiders will talk about it and they don't want it to be taught. They
Yeah.
want to hide it. And that's what the Hmong community do. We hide things too well, you know,
Hmm.
and we're afraid for it to get out. But
Yeah.
why? Like we shouldn't, it should not be like that anymore. It should be known, you know. It should be
Hmm.
known that this is not okay and that if you're doing that, like you need to face the consequences that it's coming to you.
Yeah, and you know, like Hmong people love to gossip, but when the gossip is about you, you're gonna try to do everything to cover up
Yep.
all that gossip, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like just watching his 12-minute video, and as a response, you know, everything is not fine. You know,
No,
everything is not better now. You know,
no.
and not I don't think that it will be better because social media did get a hold of it. You know,
Yes.
and I mean, we don't really know. We're not on the inside. We don't really know, and we can only talk about it, and we can only hope that she did get help, and that
Mm-hmm.
and that she is better, you know, and that she is safe, and that she can get away from it. But yeah, like I just the whole this whole what 24 hours that has gone by, you know, it just shed a light on a lot of things,
Right.
and and if people didn't know about the way that the OG men are, you know, then they do now, you know.
Yeah.
And I hope that no woman or man should ever go through anything like that, because you already feel less of a person when somebody does that to you. But then when your own family can sort of degrade you and put you, you know, they kind of just push you down even further. It's your family, you know,
Yeah.
who else do you turn to
Right.
if she is from Thailand, and maybe she left her parents over there, and her parents will say, hey, you know, my brother or my sister, you know, like while she's over there, please watch over her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is their way of watching over her, then you as a parent, how do you feel when you're somebody who's supposed to watch over your daughter? This is their way of doing so.
People don't really care because it's not their kid. It's not their
Hmm.
daughter. It's not their son, you know. So they don't really care about what's going on, that that person is getting abused, getting beaten up on a daily basis, you know. And they just turn away and they come in and they put in their 2 cents and then they move along, you know. And
Hmm.
it's not fair to that person because at the end of the day the person has to live with it and she has to go through it and she has to deal with his BS.
Hmm.
I'm wondering, oh, when is he gonna go and get drunk and come home and hit
Hmm.
me, you know,
Yeah.
and being afraid, you know, and now she can't even lock the door because he broke the door down, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like, come on, like we have to be better, and you know, we live in America. We don't have to rely on the elders anymore. We
Hmm.
can call the cops. There's so many resources out there that will help us.
Hmm.
And I hope and I pray that she is okay and that, you know, she do find, you know, peace and safety wherever she's at. I don't know her story and I don't know if she's gonna go back to home or whatnot. If she do, that's fine. That's her decision. But I hope that she doesn't and I hope that she do break free of it and
Mm-hmm.
that it will be okay. It will be okay to be a single mom. It will be okay to, you know, go out and find a job and be financially stable,
Mm-hmm.
especially in this country that we are in, you know.
Yeah.
We we have the opportunity just like the man does. We
Mm-hmm.
can go and fend for ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. And like, and let's not forget that by the time we did see this, it probably happened like two, three, four, five times already.
For sure.
And it's just now that it's surfacing. So anybody out there who is listening and who is going through anything like this, please reach out to anybody for help. If you have family, um, anybody. I had a friend who she was in she was in an abusive relationship. I don't think he beat her. I'm not sure if he did or not,
Hmm.
but it was in a she was in a abusive relationship, and then I found out about it, and I tried to help her get out of it, and I think I encouraged her to get out of it,
Yeah.
but then in doing so, I when people knew that it was a guy helping her out, they sort of said, "Oh, maybe she's cheating on him."
Right.
And then this is the guy who she's cheating on him with, and so like my name got thrown there that, hey, like, why are you talking to some other
Right.
guy's wife? But for me, it's just like, no, like, I'm just trying to encourage somebody that, hey, you don't have to stay in an abusive relationship, and
Right.
you don't have to go through this, and men shouldn't be afraid to do that for another woman. um a lot of stories out there are, like, yeah, a guy's gonna want to take a woman away, but sometimes, we actually do genuinely want to help, and it shouldn't just be from women to women or man to man. We should be able to just take the help and give help wherever that it is needed.
Yeah. And I mean, you're completely right, and I agree with you. I feel like a lot of times men don't want to help because they're afraid. They don't want to be, they don't want to be the instigator.
Hmm.
Especially because they're a man trying to help, a girl out of a,
Hmm.
the whatever situation that she's in. They don't want to be the reason, and they don't want to be the blame for it. And it's funny that you brought that up because as I was reading some of the comments, um, they were saying that she was cheating on him, and just making excuses. And I'm
Hmm.
so sick and tired of this. I'm so sick and tired of the excuses that they make for the men.
Hmm.
There should be no excuse. It shouldn't
Yeah,
be.
correct.
Because if you are in an unhappy relationship, then just leave. There's no
Yeah.
need for violence. There's no need for any of that. you know
Hmm.
um you can leave if
Yeah.
you don't love that person anymore. You don't need to stay in that relationship because it doesn't need to lead to this. It doesn't need you to start beating up your wife, so that she can love you or whatever the situation is. And I hate that it does lead to that. It
Yeah.
always leads to that. I'm just glad that we are bringing this to light, making sure that it doesn't happen anymore, because it's it's too sad that this does happen in our community, and
Yeah.
that a lot of people do turn a blind eye or put the blame on the person that is the victim, and then it makes them lose hope.
Like, I have seen in the past where a lot of the Hmong women, they're just like, I don't want to be with a Hmong guy anymore, because
Yeah.
this is how they see a group of men like this who are Hmong, and they just say that, hey, this is how the Hmong men are, and I don't want to deal with it anymore. And yeah, not all Hmong men, or not all men are the same, not all women are the same, but
Right.
Hmong sisters out there, like, you do have your brothers out here. Some of us who are here, who are going to be here for you and be here with you and go through this with you, and hopefully make sure that things like this don't happen again.
Like you said, not all men are like this. Not all
Mhm.
Hmong men are like this. And I applaud the ones that are not. I applaud the ones that are above this, above our backward culture, and do, treat their wife great, and I have many friends that do, and I applaud them because they're not counting on using this pedestal that
Mm-hmm.
the Hmong community put them on, as
Mm-hmm.
men. And I hope that, we become better, and we stop this. And that's why I created my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel called The Jump,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just about empowering women to, you know get out of the toxic relationship that they're in, that it's okay to have faith, and to take that leap of faith, and to make that move,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't have to stay in a toxic relationship, and that there is hope after this, that there is light after the tunnel. There's always uh, what's that, rainbow after the storms, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that saying is, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to stay under that storm forever, because you
Mm-hmm.
deserve a better life, you deserve a good life, and the only person that can make that change is you yourself, and you have to take that jump to be able
Mm-hmm.
to have a better life.
Did you have an what did you have a support system with you while you were going through all this, or did you just kind of have like do it like yourself?
Yeah, no, I actually do. My family were my backbone. My parents and my sisters, and then my friends. I had a pretty good support system, and I had a lot of people that encourage and support me. Although, of course, nobody can make you take that jump, right? Nobody can make you leave a relationship. You kind of have to make that on your own, and realize that you are worth something. And when I did do that, I had a lot of help, especially with my kids while I was working, because I was a single mom, and I didn't have any help from my ex. I was working full time, and I was going to school and trying to support my three kids, wanting a better life for us. I think my family was my biggest support system, because without them, I wouldn't know how I would have done it. A lot of times, the family do end up backing you up. They do help you. They want you to succeed in life. Just because you don't see that right now, and just because you think that, hey, they're saying this and that, it's not always true, because your parents doesn't want to see you in this life. They don't want you to be depressed and sad, and get beat up all the time and call them for help. They want their daughter to become something. I didn't realize that until I actually left. I'm really glad that I did, because it was one of the hardest decisions, but it was one of the best decisions that I've ever made for myself and my
Mm-hmm.
kids, because I am stronger because of that. And I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't do that, if I
Mm-hmm.
didn't take that leap of faith and or make that jump. And I
Yeah.
just want the sisters out there, the girls, whoever that's going through this, that it's okay. The grass can be greener on the other side.
Yeah.
People used to tell me, you don't know how it is, because the grass might not be greener on the other side. But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
If this is how the grass is on this side, come on.
Yeah.
Like, what can be worse than this? So,
Yeah, like as you as you talk to the sisters, let me say something to all the Hmong brothers out there. We have to love these women, and these are our sisters. They could be, just like real sisters, cousins, aunts, and aunties. But we have to be there for them, and if we see that the elders are treating them in any negative way, they may be our elders, but we do have to take a stand. We it
mhm.
has to change. It has to change somewhere, and we can't wait until all the elders die before before this whole revelation starts. We have to. It needs to happen now. Yesterday is too late. The movement, like, we need to start it now, and we have to be able to help our sisters and the brothers who are going through this. And so let's for the men, as Hmong men, let's let's come together and change it right now. Like what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? You know, New to put out another video of her, um, being abused, or are we waiting for another celebrity? And like you said, it's like I guess we are lucky that she was a celebrity, because if somebody out there that nobody really knew, who had like 20, 30 Facebook friends, how many people would watch her live and actually help, and actually want to be there to help her and get her story out there. But
Yeah.
because she was well known, and it happened to her, unfortunately, we are able to be here today and talk about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I love everything that you just said. Yeah, like we need to break this cycle. We must break this cycle. We
Hmm.
must become better and help our brother and our sister get out of toxic relationship. We need to not judge them. We need to be that light at the end of the tunnel for them. We need to be that helping hand. Like you said, if they were on the bridge, are we just gonna walk by, or are we gonna lend a hand? And we should be that
Hmm.
land. We should be the person to lend them a hand. What are we waiting for? Are we waiting for a funeral? Because it can lead to that. And so we as a community need to become better.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to close with, as we kind of just get down to the hour here? Is there anything else that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of sisters and out there that are afraid to make that jump and to see what's on the other side. But I just want you to know that I've done it. I've been through it all. And I've been through the worst of the worst. I've hit rock bottom. I've cried so many nights, and I dream of the day where my life is going to be better. And I always used to ask God and pray to God, why me? Why me? And what did I do to deserve this life? But you know what? I soon realized that I make I make my own destiny. I can change it. I can
Hmm.
I can write my story. I don't need somebody else to write the story for me. And when I realized that, like God and my family was on the other side waiting for me to take that jump. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I am really proud of myself because, like I said, it was one of the hardest decisions too. And it's the other side may be better. You don't have to live
Hmm.
in fear. You don't have to be feared all the time. You don't have to walk on eggshell because you're afraid,
Hmm.
Like, you deserve a good life. And in order to have a good life, you need to start writing your own story and not let other write for you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that is definitely so true, and I'm glad that God was able to help you out of that. It's sometimes it's not really where you're going to, but the things that you're going through, and but like in this case, it's what you're going through, and I'm sure that it made you a stronger woman as well, and you're here today, able to help others. So I thank you for that, and God has definitely blessed you by allowing your voice to be here today and talking to anybody who is out there listening. So I thank you, and I'll definitely be following your YouTube, The Jump. So and also thank you for sharing your story. I know that it is a sensitive subject. So I thank you for that, and I'm pretty sure that everybody who's listening, it may give them encouragement to move on from the pain that they have gone through as well. So I thank you for that, and thank you for joining me today.
yeah, no, thank you for having me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And I do hope that I do reach other people that need to hear this, you know. So,
Yeah. All
thanks.
right. Yeah. Thank you, and yeah, thanks for joining. I know that it is late over there, so I guess I'll just say good night, and everybody, thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode of Bobby's World.
All right, sounds good. See ya.
Okay. See ya.